The great hall of the Galactic Council was silent. Thousands of alien delegates sat in their glowing seats, each one avoiding the other's eyes. The sound of the translator drones buzzed low, but no one spoke. The chair at the center, the one once reserved for humanity, was empty. It had been empty for 72 hours. For the first time in history, humans did not come to the meeting. They didn't send a ship, didn't answer a message, didn't even say goodbye. They just left. Ambassador Krilven of the Artheri kept staring at the empty chair. "They cannot be gone," he said softly, his voice trembling. "Humans always come. Humans always talk." No one replied. Across the hall, the Lethar Prime twitched his scaled hands. "Perhaps," he said slowly, "this is another of their tricks. Humans like drama. They always make a point." But deep down, everyone knew this was different. Humans had always argued, laughed, helped, fought, and explored. But they never vanished. Until now. 3 days ago, every human colony, every ship, every station, went dark. No attacks. No explosions. Just silence. The stars that held humanity's light were dark and still. Some called it the Great Departure. Others called it the Reckoning. No one really knew why. The Galactic Council had gathered to discuss what to do next. But without humans, it felt meaningless. The council hall's glass ceiling reflected the light of hundreds of stars. Somewhere out there, humanity had gone, and the galaxy was starting to feel the loss. A soft chime echoed through the chamber. A message beacon, very old, drifted into orbit around the council station. The beacon's metal was human-made, ancient Earth technology, simple and strong. Every delegate leaned forward as the message played. A human voice spoke. Calm. Measured. Familiar. "This is not a goodbye," the voice said. "It is a lesson." Static hissed for a few seconds, then continued. "For centuries, we tried to be part of your galaxy. We shared our technology, our science, our blood, and our hope. We fought beside you. We died beside you. And still, you called us primitive. Dangerous. Unpredictable." Some of the delegates looked down in shame. "You feared us," the voice said. "You feared that one day, we would grow too strong. You were right." A quiet gasp filled the hall. "But not in the way you think," the message continued. "You feared our weapons. But our true power was never in our weapons. It was in our hearts. In our will to survive, to dream, to fight for what is right. You forgot that." The message ended. No coordinates. No name. Just silence again. Ambassador Krilven's wings drooped. "They're blaming us," he whispered. "They think we failed them." The Lethar Prime slammed his tail against the floor. "They are manipulating us. This is human arrogance." They always believed themselves special. But deep inside, even he did not believe his own words. Because everywhere across the galaxy, things were already changing. Human-built reactors were shutting down. Ships powered by human-designed drives began to fail. The trade networks collapsed. Medicine, travel, energy, everything humanity had touched, was breaking apart. They hadn't just left. They had taken something with them. A young alien aide ran into the chamber, breathing hard. "Ambassador! The Terran system, Sol, is gone." Krilven's eyes widened. "Gone? What do you mean gone?" "The star," the aide said, shaking. It's not there anymore. The entire system is dark." The hall fell silent again. No one dared speak. In that silence, every species remembered what humanity had done for them, the wars they ended, the diseases they cured, the worlds they rebuilt. And now, all of it was gone. One of the elder delegates, the Serati High Speaker, whispered softly, "Perhaps, they were never meant to stay." No one answered. Outside, through the massive glass dome, the galaxy looked calm, but the peace felt hollow. Like a heart that had stopped beating. Somewhere, out there, humanity was watching. Waiting. And maybe, just maybe, they were judging. Because the message wasn't a farewell. It was a warning. The council didn't know it yet, but the real story hadn't even begun. Far away from the silent halls of the Galactic Council, in the darkness between stars, the humans were not gone. They had only stepped aside. A fleet drifted in the shadows, thousands of ships, invisible to scanners, powered by something no alien could understand. They were quiet, but alive. Inside one of them, the UHS Horizon, Admiral Sarah Kane stood at the viewing deck, looking at a blue planet below. It was not Earth. It was something new. Status? She asked. Stable atmosphere, breathable air, said Lieutenant Ramos. No signs of alien tracking. We are alone. Sarah nodded slowly. Good. Keep it that way. The crew moved with purpose. There was no laughter, no music, only focus. They all knew what they had done. They had walked away from the galaxy. It wasn't anger. It wasn't revenge. It was disappointment. Humanity had tried for centuries to live among others, to help, to share, to build. But in return, they were watched, feared, and finally pushed aside. The day the Council passed the Containment Act, banning humans from leading any interstellar projects, was the day Sarah knew it was over. Humanity didn't belong with the galaxy anymore. It belonged beyond it. She turned from the window and spoke quietly, let them see what happens when they lose the ones who held them together. The ship's AI, Atlas, spoke with a calm human voice. The Council will soon understand. Their dependence was deeper than they believed. Sarah gave a sad smile. Yes. But I wish it hadn't come to this. Outside the window, the planet below glowed with fresh cities, shining white towers, clean rivers, vast green fields. It was a world built from nothing, a new beginning. The humans called it Eden 2. Home, Ramos whispered. Sarah nodded. A home without limits. A world without judgment. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, chaos grew. The alien civilizations were falling apart. Power grids failed. Food transport collapsed. The Council tried to hold order, but the systems designed and maintained by human engineers refused to obey. Some believed it was sabotage. Others whispered it was a curse. On the Council world, Ambassador Krilven could not sleep. The human message kept echoing in his mind. This is not a goodbye. It is a lesson. He had worked beside humans for over a century. He remembered their jokes, their stubbornness, their strange kindness. They had fought for worlds that weren't even theirs. They had given technology freely. And now, he wondered, maybe that was the problem. Maybe the galaxy had taken too much and given nothing back. He opened a small device on his desk, an old human communicator, dusty and forgotten. It blinked once. Weak signal. He hesitated, then whispered, Sarah Kane, if you can hear this, we were wrong. The signal vanished into static. Light years away, deep in the new human sector, Atlas picked up the faint whisper. Admiral, the AI said. Incoming signal from the Council. Single voice. Krilven. Sarah closed her eyes. Play it. The voice came through, broken, sad, real. We miss you. The galaxy misses you. Things are falling apart. Please, talk to us. Sarah didn't answer. She looked again at the planet below. Should we respond? Atlas asked. No, Sarah said softly. Not yet. They haven't learned. The AI paused. And when they do, then, Sarah whispered, we'll come back. But not as servants. Not as friends. As teachers. Far beyond Eden 2, hidden human probes watched the galaxy crumble. Every system that relied on human knowledge was slowly collapsing. But some worlds, the small ones, the forgotten ones, began to change. They were adapting. Learning to build again, without human help. And that was exactly what humanity wanted. Because walking away wasn't an act of hate. It was a test. Would the galaxy learn to stand on its own, or would it destroy itself without human guidance? In the void between stars, the horizon floated in silence. Sarah stood alone, her reflection on the glass surrounded by a million stars. Somewhere out there, Earth was gone, but its spirit lived in every human heart, in every spark of creation. Do you think they'll make it? Ramos asked quietly. Sarah smiled sadly. They will. But they'll remember who made them try. The ship's engines glowed softly, lighting up the dark. Humanity had left the galaxy, but not forever. They were building something bigger, something that would one day return. And when that day came, the galaxy would see what humans had truly become. Not destroyers. Not saviors. But the reason the stars learned to shine again. The galaxy was breaking. A month had passed since the humans disappeared, and chaos ruled. Worlds that once glowed with light were now dark and silent. Ships drifted without power. Cities starved. Communication beacons went cold. Everywhere, people whispered the same thing: the humans did this. But no one could prove it. On the council world, Ambassador Krilven watched the skyline burn. Fires rose from the lower sectors, where food shortages had turned into riots. The once beautiful capital now looked like a dying ember. He turned to his aide, voice weak. How many systems are still stable? Less than 12%, sir, the aide said quietly. And most of them are near old human colonies. Krilven's wings drooped. So even now, they hold us together. The aide hesitated. Sir, maybe we should send ships to search for them. Beg them to return. Krilven closed his eyes. We drove them away. If we chase them now, they will only go farther. He didn't say it, but deep down, he hoped the humans were still listening. And they were. Far beyond council space, Admiral Sarah Kane stood in the command center of the UHS Horizon. A holographic map of the galaxy shimmered before her. Dozens of red zones marked the systems that were failing. Ramos pointed at the map. It's worse every day. They're losing everything. Even their automated ships can't maintain flight paths anymore. Sarah nodded slowly. Good. They must fall before they rise. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. They knew what she meant, but it didn't make it easier to watch. The galaxy was paying a heavy price for its arrogance. Atlas, the ship's AI, spoke softly. Message from Sector 12. A colony world, Xyron 3. They've begun rebuilding without human tech. Primitive methods. But effective. Sarah turned to face the glowing blue projection. So it begins. Atlas tilted its virtual head. You expected this? Yes, Sarah said. Pain teaches faster than comfort. Meanwhile, in the ruins of Xyron 3, the alien colonists were learning to survive again. They used stone, wind, and metal instead of fusion or plasma. For the first time in centuries, they worked with their hands. They built fire. They cooked. They learned. An old alien farmer looked up at the night sky and whispered, maybe the humans were right. Maybe we forgot what it means to fight for life. But not everyone believed that. In another corner of the galaxy, a powerful alien fleet was gathering. The Dravik Dominion, once allies of humanity, now blamed them for the collapse. Their leader, Warlord Sykar, roared before his soldiers, humans left us to die. They think themselves gods. We will find them, and we will make them return, or burn their new worlds. Thousands of ships began searching the void, scanning for any human signature. On Eden 2, Atlas detected the movement. Admiral, the AI warned, Dravik forces are mobilizing. They are heading toward the outer sectors. Sarah frowned. They're desperate. They think war will fix what they broke. Ramos looked uneasy. Should we stop them? Sarah shook her head. No. They need to see the truth with their own eyes. Which truth? Atlas asked. That humanity doesn't live in fear anymore. As the Dravik fleet entered the dead sectors, they found empty space, no signals, no life. Only silence. But their scanners soon detected something strange. Massive structures floating in the dark, shaped like rings of silver light. They were not weapons. They were gates. And when one of the Dravik ships approached, the gate opened, showing a swirling void of stars beyond. Then, a voice echoed across their communication systems. Calm. Cold. Human. You searched for us, it said. Now you've found the door. The Dravik commander shouted, Show yourself, human coward. The voice replied, We are no longer where you left us. We have gone beyond the edge. Beyond your understanding. You wanted to control us. Now you will learn what it means to be alone. The gate closed. All scanners died. The Dravik fleet vanished. When news reached the council, panic spread. Whole armadas had disappeared without a trace. Some said humans destroyed them. Others whispered that they had crossed into another realm, a place humans had built for themselves. Krilven watched the reports in silence. They're not just gone, he murmured. They've evolved. He looked up at the night sky. Somewhere, out there, humanity was watching. And he finally understood what the message meant. This is not a goodbye. It is a lesson. Because maybe, the lesson wasn't only for the galaxy. Maybe it was for humanity too, to see if they could rise without becoming the monsters the galaxy feared. But the experiment was not over. Deep inside the horizon, Admiral Seragon stood before a hidden chamber. Inside it, a pulsating sphere of light hummed, something alive, powerful, ancient. Ramos looked at it with awe. Is that? Sarah nodded. Yes. The heart of soul. What remained when our son died? She placed her hand on the glass. This is where it all began. And where it will begin again. Atlas spoke softly. When will we return, Admiral? Sarah smiled faintly. When they finally stop fearing what makes us human. The Dravik fleet returned, but not as they had left. Out of the swirling void beyond the human gates, they had brought something with them, a shadow, a presence that no one could fully understand. Ships that had entered the unknown returned damaged, their crews shaken, their minds haunted by things they could not name. When the first Dravik vessel appeared near the Council Worlds, alarms blared across the capital. The humans were still gone, yet the threat they had left behind was real. Ambassador Krilven watched the fleet cautiously. He had hoped the humans' departure would give the galaxy time to recover. Instead, it seemed to be accelerating the collapse. They brought something back, the Lethar Prime said, his voice low and trembling. Something alive. Krilven's claws tapped the desk nervously. Then we must prepare. We cannot wait for humans to return. If they do, it will be too late. Meanwhile, in the outer void, the Dravik ships drifted, their sensors overwhelmed by the anomaly. What is it? Commander Sykar asked. The humans warned us, yet we still came. The crew did not answer. They were too busy staring at the strange forms floating in the void, massive shapes that shimmered and twisted, impossible to describe. They moved with purpose, as if alive, yet were not made of flesh. One of the junior officers whispered, It's like the stars themselves are breathing. The commander roared, Silence! We are Dravik. We fear nothing. But inside, even he felt a chill. Back on Eden 2, Admiral Seragon and her crew monitored the Dravik movements through hidden sensors. The humans did not intervene, not yet. Ramos frowned. They're heading straight for the Council Worlds. Should we warn them? Sarah shook her head. No. This is part of the lesson. Let them see the consequences of their fear. Atlas spoke carefully. The anomaly is spreading. Its energy signatures are affecting the systems humans once maintained. Civilizations will collapse faster if unchecked. Sarah nodded. Good. Let them rebuild themselves in the chaos. Only then will they understand what it means to survive. In the Council worlds, the anomaly reached the outer colonies first. Ships fell from orbit. Communications failed. Entire sectors went dark. Panic spread like wildfire. Ambassador Krilven summoned an emergency session. "We cannot control it," he admitted. "Our fleets are useless. Our technology fails. The humans, they left us unprepared, but not powerless. Only we can learn from this." But even as he spoke, the Council realized something terrifying. This force the Dravik had brought back was not just destructive, it was teaching. It disrupted systems, but it left life intact. Crops grew in strange patterns, alien creatures adapted in unexpected ways. Machines broke, but new inventions began to emerge, powered by ingenuity rather than human design. It was as if the humans had left a shadow behind, forcing the galaxy to evolve without them. Meanwhile, aboard the horizon, Sarah stood before the heart of Sol. The pulsating sphere glowed brighter. "It is awake," she whispered. Atlas observed, "The anomaly is a byproduct. The human's presence, or absence, is catalyzing growth." Sarah's eyes glinted. "Not just growth, change. They will be stronger when we return. Smarter. Wiser." Ramos asked, "Do we ever fear that we pushed too far?" Sarah shook her head. "No. We gave them the truth of themselves. Fear, dependence, arrogance. All of it. They will either rise or fall. That is the real test." On the Dravik ships, chaos grew. Sailors reported seeing visions of humans, not alive, but guiding them, whispering lessons they did not understand. "Commander," a frightened officer said. "They're in our minds. They know our thoughts." Sykar slammed his fist. "Enough. They are gone. There are no humans here." But the visions persisted. The fleet staggered as if invisible hands were pushing and pulling them, forcing course corrections, altering their trajectories. Some Dravik ships broke apart entirely, engines screaming, crews screaming, until nothing remained. Back in the Council capital, Krilven stared at the darkening sky. "They are testing us," he whispered. "Not to punish, but to teach." In the void, the anomaly pulsed again. Its light stretched toward Eden 2, brushing against the hidden human worlds, touching every ship, every probe, every colony that remained. It was silent, but it spoke. And the galaxy finally realized one terrifying truth: humans were never just part of the stars. Humans were the stars' teachers. And now, for the first time, the galaxy was learning the lesson, the hard way. The galaxy trembled. By now, every major civilization knew that the humans' departure was no ordinary disappearance. Entire fleets had vanished, colonies had collapsed, and a strange force, born from the humans' absence, spread across star systems, reshaping everything it touched. The Dravik Dominion, desperate and furious, had gathered the largest fleet ever assembled in history. They called it the Reckoning Armada, though even the name seemed hollow against the terror that awaited them. Commander Sykar stood on the bridge of the flagship Bloodfang, staring at the anomaly's edge. Ships ahead flickered and disappeared into ghostly voids, returning warped or destroyed. The air smelled of fear. "This is human magic," a junior officer screamed. "They are manipulating the stars themselves." Sykar slammed his clawed hand on the console. "No. It is a trap. Nothing the humans left behind is natural. We will break through it or die trying." But even he felt a shadow of doubt. Across the void, Admiral Sarah Kane watched the approaching fleet from the horizon. She did not panic. She had seen this before. This was exactly the moment she had anticipated. "Open the visual feeds," she ordered. The screens lit up with thousands of Dravik ships. They moved with precision, but fear showed in every calculated maneuver. "They're desperate," Atlas said softly. "They do not understand what they face." Sarah nodded. "Let them learn." Inside the anomaly, the stars themselves seemed alive. Massive arcs of energy danced between the ships. Ships that tried to advance too quickly were caught in invisible currents and flung back. Others were twisted, their hulls bending as if reality itself resisted them. The Dravik soldiers screamed in terror. Some believed they were being punished. Others thought the humans had returned as gods. In the council worlds, panic reached a fever pitch. Krilven watched helplessly as reports came in, fleets destroyed, colonies vanishing, communication networks gone. They will not survive this, he said to himself. And yet, maybe they need to witness it. Back on Eden 2, Sarah and her team monitored the Dravik fleet as it staggered through the anomaly. The humans did nothing directly. No weapons fired. No ships intervened. The galaxy was learning the cost of its arrogance firsthand. Ramos glanced at Sarah. They're dying, Admiral. Shouldn't we stop it? No, Sarah replied, her voice calm but cold. They must understand that power is meaningless without wisdom. They wanted humans to lead. Now they must lead themselves, or perish. Within the anomaly, the first Dravik flagship was destroyed. Energy arcs ripped through the hull. Engines failed. The crew vanished in moments. Panic spread through the remaining ships. The second ship attempted retreat, only to find the void bending around it. Its trajectory was changed without warning, flinging it into a nebula of glowing energy. The crew screamed. By the time the third wave attempted to regroup, the fleet had fractured. Hundreds of ships were lost. Thousands of lives extinguished. And yet, amid the chaos, something remarkable began to happen. Alien soldiers and engineers who survived started improvising. They adapted. Using primitive methods, they repaired ships, rerouted energy systems, and learned to navigate without relying on human tech. Every failure forced them to grow stronger. Every loss forced them to think differently. The very humans who had left the galaxy were teaching it, without even being present. Sarah watched quietly. This is the turning point, she said. They will remember. They will rebuild. And one day, they will understand. Atlas added, the anomaly has affected the minds of the Dravik survivors. Many are reporting visions, reminders of their arrogance, their fear, and what humans truly gave them. Ramos frowned. Are they learning, or breaking? Sarah's eyes glinted. Both. Pain is the fastest teacher. Back on the council world, Krilven received reports of alien engineers salvaging broken ships with no human help. His heart sank and rose at the same time. They're learning, he murmured. It's horrible, and yet, necessary. As night fell across the galaxy, the stars shimmered unusually bright. The anomaly pulsed in silent rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. And in the void, just beyond the horizon sensors, the humans waited. Patient. Silent. Watching as the galaxy struggled and adapted. Sarah touched the heart of Soul. Soon, she whispered. They will be ready. The lesson is almost complete. And when they are, they will know the truth of humanity. The anomaly pulsed once more, stretching tendrils of light into the galaxy. Ships that survived found themselves stronger, faster, smarter. Systems that had failed began operating under new logic. The galaxy was being reshaped, not destroyed. And somewhere, in the silent reaches of the void, a human voice echoed through the minds of those who had dared to chase them. The stars are ours, but wisdom is yours. Fail, or rise. The galaxy had changed. Fleets no longer moved with certainty. Colonies had adapted, learning to survive without humans, but fear lingered in every mind. The council worlds teetered on the edge of chaos. For the first time, they understood what they had lost. Ambassador Krilven stood on the balcony of the council hall, overlooking the city. Fires still burned in the lower sectors, but everywhere, signs of rebuilding appeared. Alien engineers worked tirelessly, creating machines and systems without human designs. They are learning, Krilven said quietly to his aide. Slowly, painfully, but they are learning. The aide nodded. But the council, we are powerless. Humans are beyond reach. Krilven closed his eyes. We drove them away. Now we must face what that means. Meanwhile, in the void, the humans observed silently. Eden 2 glowed in the darkness like a beacon of hope and warning. The horizon floated in orbit above the planet, its engines idle, its crew patient. Admiral Sarah Kane stood at the viewing deck, watching the Council's world through long-range sensors. "They have begun rebuilding themselves," she said. "But not yet fully. They still cling to old fears, old arrogance. They need one final lesson." Ramos frowned. "Do you mean we should intervene?" Sarah shook her head. "No. Not yet. They must take the next step themselves. Only when they reach for us will they understand their true place in the galaxy." Atlas projected a holographic map showing the Council world, surrounding colonies, and the Dravik survivors. "The anomaly has stabilized. The systems are recovering, though slowly. Some are thriving, some failing. The galaxy is evolving." Sarah's eyes glinted. "Good. Let them evolve. Let them remember what they lost, and why." Back in the Council Hall, Krilven faced a desperate decision. Communication systems that once connected the galaxy had failed. Every attempt to contact humans returned silence. Yet, a faint hope remained. Humans had left traces of themselves in hidden probes, old satellites, and ancient stations. "We must try one last time," Krilven said, activating a secret human relay station. "Even if they do not answer, they will see our effort. They must know we are ready to learn." Outside the galaxy, Eden 2's surface shimmered with life. The new human world was a masterpiece of simplicity and function, untouched by politics or greed. Humanity had created a civilization beyond the Council's comprehension. Sarah placed her hand on the heart of Sol, the pulsating sphere that powered their world. "They are reaching," she whispered. "Soon, they will understand. Soon, the lesson will be complete." A faint signal flickered across the sensors, a human-made relay detecting Council attempts. Sarah smiled faintly. "They are calling. Not yet desperate, but almost. Soon they will reach the edge of understanding." In the Dravik remnants, the survivors struggled to maintain cohesion. The anomaly had reshaped their minds, leaving them stronger but humbled. Some whispered of humans not as conquerors, but as teachers, beings whose absence forced the galaxy to confront its weakness. "Perhaps," one officer murmured, "they are not gone, they are watching, judging." The Council worlds now faced a choice. Entire civilizations hung in the balance. They could rebuild alone, stubborn and prideful, or they could acknowledge the truth. The galaxy had been guided by humans, whether it admitted it or not. Krilven turned to the Council assembly. "We must prepare. The humans will judge not just our survival, but our willingness to change. If we fail, we will remain lost. But if we rise, we may earn their return." The room fell silent. No one spoke, because everyone felt it. The humans had set a test, and the final stage was near. On Eden 2, Sarah watched a transmission attempt reach their sensors. A single Council message flickered faintly. She nodded to Atlas. "Prepare a response. Not a welcome, not yet. A challenge." Atlas projected the reply across the void. "We see you trying. We see who you are becoming. Continue. Prove yourselves worthy." Ramos looked uneasy. "Is it right to manipulate them like this?" Sarah shook her head slowly. "It is not manipulation. It is truth. Humans gave the galaxy knowledge, guidance, and life. Now the galaxy must choose, adapt, or fade." In the darkness, the anomaly pulsed once again. The galaxy watched, learned, and feared. Stars seemed brighter. Systems began to stabilize under new logic. Alien civilizations struggled, faltered, and then innovated. And somewhere, deep in the void, humans waited. Patient, silent, watching as the galaxy reached for its first real understanding of itself. The stage was set. The final reckoning was approaching. And when it came, no one would forget the lesson humanity had left behind. The galaxy held its breath. 4 years, civilizations had struggled without humans. Entire fleets had vanished, colonies had collapsed, and the stars themselves seemed to test the will of those who remained. Now, after long months of learning, adapting, and surviving, the galaxy reached the edge of understanding. On the council world, Ambassador Krilven stood before the assembly. His claws trembled as he spoke. "We have tried, failed, and risen. We have suffered, adapted, and survived. Now, we seek guidance. Not because we are weak, but because we have learned our place." Across the void, the humans watched. The horizon floated silently above Eden 2, its crew calm but alert. The heart of Sol pulsed brighter than ever, sending ripples of energy that touched the galaxy like invisible fingers. Sarah Kane placed her hand on the control console. "They are ready," she whispered. "We will return, not to conquer, not to dominate, but to guide. To show what it truly means to be human." Atlas projected the readings from the council worlds. The civilizations have changed. They have adapted, innovated, survived. They are worthy. Ramos frowned. "And if they fail again?" Sarah smiled faintly, her eyes hard and bright. "Then they will learn. But this time, they will not fail." And then, humanity revealed itself. The horizon, along with dozens of other ships, emerged from hidden wormholes across the galaxy. No explosions. No weapons. Just presence. Ships of all shapes and sizes, carrying humans and their creations, appeared in orbit above key council worlds, shining with the quiet authority of experience. Panic erupted. Entire fleets scrambled. Communications buzzed with disbelief. Krilven and the council watched as humans descended not as invaders, but as masters of diplomacy, science, and power. Every human moved with purpose, yet with calm humility. Sarah stepped forward, her voice carrying across the council channels. "We left because the galaxy forgot how to value itself. You relied on our technology, our wisdom, our guidance, and yet you feared us. You doubted yourselves, and in that doubt, chaos grew." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We did not leave to punish you. We left to teach you, to see if you could survive without us. And now, you have proven you can." Across the galaxy, alien eyes widened. Ships that had once feared humans now stared in awe. Colonies that had collapsed were beginning to rebuild stronger than before. The Dravik survivors, humbled and wiser, knelt before the communications, acknowledging the humans' power not just in technology, but in wisdom. Krilven stepped forward, voice trembling. We failed you in understanding. We feared you, and in that fear, we weakened ourselves. Forgive us." Sarah's gaze softened, yet remained firm. "Forgiveness is earned, not demanded. You earned this chance by learning, by surviving, by understanding that fear has no place where knowledge and courage belong." Then she revealed the final gift, the Stellar Network, a human-designed system of energy conduits and wormholes, allowing instantaneous communication and travel across the galaxy. But it would only operate for those who had truly adapted, those who had survived the trials, who had embraced growth over reliance, courage over fear. "Use it wisely," Sarah said. "Not as a weapon, not as a crutch, but as a tool to rise together." The galaxy shook. Lights sparkled along the network. Worlds once isolated now linked. Alien civilizations, once fractured, now saw each other as part of a greater whole. Humanity had not returned as rulers. They had returned as teachers. Ramos turned to Sarah. "They are changed." Sarah nodded. "Yes, and so are we. Humanity does not conquer by force. We conquer by example." In the distance, the anomaly that had haunted the galaxy began to dissipate. Its energy, once chaotic and terrifying, merged with the stellar network, becoming a force of creation rather than destruction. Systems that had struggled for survival now thrived under new logic and innovation. And somewhere, in the quiet reaches of the void, humanity's legacy was complete. The council world stood in awe, not of human strength, but of their perseverance, patience, and wisdom. Krilven whispered, "We were lucky to survive, and luckier to learn." Sarah's voice came once more through the universal channels, "The galaxy is yours now. But remember this, humanity walks not behind, not beside, but ahead. We will always challenge you to rise, higher, faster, better. Because that is what being human means." The stars shimmered brighter than ever. Ships returned to orbit. Colonies rebuilt. Fleets moved with new confidence. The galaxy, once fractured and weak, was reborn. And in the silent expanse beyond Eden too, the humans watched. They did not intervene unnecessarily. They did not boast. They simply waited, knowing that the galaxy had learned its lesson, the hard way, but fully. For the first time in millennia, the galaxy understood. Humans were not invaders, not conquerors, not gods. They were the spark that reminded every civilization what it truly meant to survive, to learn, and to rise. And the stars themselves seemed to shine just a little brighter, as if smiling at the triumph of humanity.